Look, it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day details of crypto. If you're scalping shitcoins, you might even be just staring at the 1-minute charts. So today, I want to slow things down a little bit and zoom out to the biggest asset, Bitcoin itself. And I want to take a high-level view and not look at the daily or even the weekly, but rather take a look at the monthly Bitcoin charts and see what they're actually telling us. But why use the Bitcoin monthly charts? Well, that's because the monthly chart really smooths out the noise, man, and it gives you some very clear signals about where we are in the cycle and what we could possibly expect from the rest of the year. And actually, when we look at the Bitcoin monthly chart, it is revealing some very huge signals right now, signals that cannot and should not be ignored. And while the easiest to get your head around is that the RSI for Bitcoin on the monthly right now is neutral. And that's actually pretty crazy. You see, Bitcoin just hit a new all-time high the other day, $123,000, right? We're firmly in the six-figure territory and have been for a while. We are currently, at the time of recording this video, consolidating below $120,000, and the RSI moving average hasn't even moved into overbought levels. That means there's still a lot of room to run. Well, the stochastic RSI, which is more sensitive and fluctuates more quickly between overbought and oversold readings, is at an even more neutral level, which is pretty crazy, having received a full reset down to the deeply oversold levels when Bitcoin dipped to $74,000 back in April. So we're not yet at overbought levels, meaning there's still room in this run. In fact, looking back, now that move to 74K was a healthy dip for Bitcoin. And I know it's like an Armageddon event for your altcoins. That's a different story, but for Bitcoin, it's fine, giving BTC and really the rest of the market exactly the retrace and reset and flush that was needed in order to refuel and extend the bull run further. And now the RSI and the stochastic RSI together are signaling a very bullish monthly setup. So to get an even better perspective on this, let's compare it to the bull market of 2021. And you can see that back then, both the RSI and the stochastic RSI were elevated at the overbought levels at the start of Bitcoin's shift into price discovery mode. On top of that, keep in mind that in a foot to the floor, bull run, crazy mania, blah kind of thing, the RSI, since it measures momentum, can remain at overbought levels for a long time. We're talking several consecutive months here. That tends to happen near a top. And it looks like we're all set up for a clear run from here, with the RSI still yet to hit the level of previous bull market peaks and still to enter that overbought territory, meaning again, there's plenty of fuel in the tank and there's plenty of space for the market to get a lot hotter and a lot crazier for the rest of the year or the rest of the cycle, however long it happens to last for. You can also see that Bitcoin is staying cleanly above the EMA 20 and the EMA 50. That's the 20-month and 50-month EMAs. And you can see here also how its progress up into the right over the past couple of years looks much more orderly and chill compared to, like, the 5-minute charts some of you guys are watching. And compared to the wild rides back in 2017, 2020, 2021, also charts looking very orderly. And that might be because of the way that BTC is now being bought through these ETFs and by these treasury companies and by big institutions. The game to an extent has changed and the buying itself has become more orderly. By the way, if you're trading Bitcoin, you're trading Ethereum, Solana, dog coins, whatever you happen to be trading, you need a great place to do it. That place is called BitUnix. You can get an account right now, link down below. But why? Well, because it's no KYC, no VPN exchange, literally available to anyone, anywhere, meaning you can long the rips, short the dips, deep liquidity, and all the big coins. They have exotic coins you can trade there as well. Plus, when you use that link exclusively, you're getting some insane bonuses, okay? We're talking huge cash deposit bonuses, huge trading bonuses, right down here exclusively using my link. So go check it out if you're an active trader and you want a great place to be trading at. BitUnix is one of the hottest exchanges in the market right now. So go grab yourself an account, link right down here. Thank you very much. Now let's get back to the Bitcoin conversation here. We can also take a look at the Bollinger Bands. With this indicator, you can see that in the previous bull runs, the last two cycles, BTC was consistently putting in monthly candles above the top Bollinger Band, meaning huge momentum in the market, meaning it was really pushing into overheated territory consistently the whole run up. But right now, it's a very different story, as price is basically staying within the limits of the bands, showing much more subdued and normal market behavior, echoing, of course, what we see with the RSI. What we've basically got then, viewed on the monthly, is that BTC breaking its previous all-time high at 112K, going up to 123K, and then essentially consolidating below $120,000 after a not too deep pullback, and all of that basically strong momentum and solid support established at around $115,000, therefore pushing it into bullish continuation mode with really none of the monthly indicators showing that the market's massively overheated or that we're topping out. It's not only Bitcoin, of course, that looks good on these time frames, so let's also take a quick look at ETH and altcoins to give you a broader perspective of what's going on in the market. So with that dip back below 120K and its consolidation there, Bitcoin took a breather while looking strong, which then created the perfect environment for Ethereum to finally do something. ETH had some nice moves so far this year after a very, very strong sell-off, but ETH has been making some big moves trying to get up to that $4,000 mark. This is all accompanied by ETH treasury company stockpiling, ETH ETFs piling huge money into the asset, and on the monthly, ETH looks very similar to BTC when it comes to the RSI indicator as compared to its previous huge rallies in 2017 and in 2021. The monthly RSI levels are nowhere close to being overbought, okay? We have a lot of fuel left in the tank. This can go way, way higher. The crazy will get more crazy. In fact, as with BTC, we're still in neutral territory. And if we check the Bollinger Bands, it's a similar story with ETH not currently putting in monthly candles above the top band. And that's despite the insane price rallies we've seen recently on Ethereum. That's crazy. So we have not yet seen that, unlike in previous bull market runs, and we will. This will help us indicate when a top is getting close, but we don't have that yet. Check the RSI on Solana, and again, no overheating right now. On Cardano, we've got the same situation as it's in neutral territory. XRP, though, a little bit different, as although it's neutral now, it looked more overheated in January of this year after its gargantuan 7-8x run in a few weeks. It was crazy stuff, but that's a more of a unique situation, and most assets didn't look like that, so XRP had a moment of very strong outperformance, okay? And then Ripple's situation, of course, continues to be complicated by its run-ins with the pre-Trump SEC and all that kind of stuff, and still filtering through that, but okay, anyway, all in all, though, what we're seeing here is not a market that's in overbought territory. We're seeing a market that's in relatively neutral territory with lots of fuel left in the tank. This applies to BTC, which seems to be experiencing a whole different kind of bull market this time around, but also now increasingly to the rest of the market. ETH, altcoins finally feel like they're getting some kind of momentum on their own and pulling in fresh interest with their own treasury companies and ETF flows and all that kind of stuff. Google Trends show that searches for altcoins experienced a huge spike this month, but on the charts, they don't appear to be really reflecting that. We're nowhere near a full-blown mania phase here for the markets, just 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of stuff right now as we slowly grind higher. The whole market is still in the process of building up that high time frame momentum, okay? Still a lot of momentum needs to be built. That said, we have to remember that unexpected headline shocks can hit. We need the macro situation to stay friendly. But at the same time, the market is hungry, and the market's reaction to headlines can actually tell us a lot about what the heck the sentiment is. For example, that big Bitcoin whale sold off all that BTC the other day, the 80,000 BTC guy. Markets barely moved. When we're in a strong bull market, negative headlines, they get shaken off. Well, positive news pushes price higher, and that's how the market has been reacting recently. And in some ways, headlines can even act as indicators rather than triggers to let you know how the market's actually feeling. Overall, though, zoom out to the monthly, and we're looking exactly at the kind of conditions that we've been waiting for, okay? Momentum is there and building, but it's still a long way from being overheated. So probably time to stay positioned, treat dips as either opportunities to accumulate more or moments really just to sit on your hands and wait. The patience part is one of the hardest parts in this market, okay? And obviously, once things start getting a bit crazier, don't forget to take profits and have that plan in mind of how you're gonna get your money out of the market. Thanks for watching.